Okay, what's up, y'all? So, somebody asked me about heat sinks and how they work. So, I'm going to do my best to try to explain it. Alright. So, Chris right now is the heat sink. He is, but he ain't. Y'all don't listen to me on that. Chris is not part of the explanation. Ain't that right, Chrissy? Say, no, I'm not part of the explanation. I don't know nothing about what you're talking about. I'm gonna cover up. I'm probably gonna cover these I got some garlic chives in here. I'm probably gonna cover them with leaves. Ooh, Angela, I got you a kumquat. I thought all them kumquats had died. Okay, Angela, that's yours. Cause I know I promised you. I done sent out kumquat cuttings. I thought that sucker was dead in there. Y'all see I got some garlic coming up too. Okay, Chrissy. Chrissy! Hey, bud. Okay, so back to the heat sink before I lose my audience. Okay, so I'm gonna show y'all this right quick. So these are my citrus trees, right? And I got some plastic over them and some wood over them. Plastic coming down. Okay? So we have had, I know Chrissy, I'm sorry. Chris probably mad at me because I'm moving, messing up his stuff. Okay, so under that plastic, y'all see I had this 5-gallon bucket almost full of water. Okay, so let me explain this simple concept to y'all right quick. So water, when it comes to heat exchange, water will hold on to its heat better than most other liquids. I'm not gonna say all other liquids. So what do I mean by that? Okay, so in your car, you have coolant in your car, right? Okay, so the reason, well, you have antifreeze in your car. So back in the day, they didn't even use antifreeze. Before they had antifreeze, they just used water. Now, why did they stop using water? Because cars are made in Michigan. In Michigan, it gets very, very cold, and it can get so cold to the point where the water, even though it's inside your engine, it can freeze. And when water freezes, it expands. It doesn't expand a lot, but it does expand, and it will crack your block. Meaning, think about water inside of a metal engine, and when it freezes, it has that much hydraulic pressure that it can crack your block potentially. So this is why they started putting antifreeze in it, which is the green stuff, or if you have a newer car, the yellow stuff, the orange stuff. They got a bunch of different colors. But so they knew early on that water could exchange temperatures better than a lot of other liquids. So what does the water in your engine do? When your engine gets hot, the water is circulated through your engine by the water pump. It pumps it through the engine, through the radiator, back to your engine in a loop, more or less. The water also is how your heater gets hot, but we won't get into that. So when it goes to the radiator, what does the radiator do? The radiator is usually aluminum, has a lot of fins, and air passes over it. So when the air passes over it, that hot water and coolant mixture coming from your engine goes to your radiator. The air passes over it, and the water cools down, and then it goes back into your engine. But it doesn't cool down, because you want your engine to have a certain amount of heat in it. It doesn't cool down all the way until it's too cold. So it cools down enough so that your engine doesn't overheat, but it keeps it warm enough so that your fuel economy stays where it is. We ain't gonna get into that. That's a lot of other stuff. So water is a good conductor of heat. It holds heat a little bit better. It can also dissipate heat well. So you can also use that in your greenhouses, in your gardens, around your plants. So what do you do here? It's going to be 60 degrees today here. This water is going to be 60 degrees. When it cools off tonight, this water will still be closer to 60 degrees, but as the air temperature cools, this water will start to give up its heat. So as the air goes down to 40, this water will slowly, the temperature will drop. But what does it do as the temperature drops? It radiates its heat. Doesn't sound like much, but all you want it to do is to stay above freezing. Also, keep in mind, this bucket is sitting on the ground, so the ground is going to be warmer than the air temp. So that's going to help your water also absorb. Like, say for instance, the air temp was below freezing. Well, the ground is not freezing. It will absorb heat from the ground. Like I said, it may not be much, but you're just trying to keep your stuff from not freezing. It's not about making it 80 degrees. It's about keeping it above freezing. So as it absorbs the heat from the ground, it will disperse that heat around your plants. Now, will it do it for a great distance? No. But it will help. This is why you see people with 50-gallon jugs and stuff in their greenhouses full of water, especially if they paint them black on the outside. What does the black do? It helps heat the water up even more, because black is a color. Black is every color, whereas white is a void of color. It's no color. So since black is every color, it's going to pick up every light spectrum, which means it's going to gather more heat than any other color. So that's why people paint stuff black. That's also why I left my tires black, because in the winter time, yeah, in the summer they're hot as fire, but in the winter time, they gather up the sun's heat. They gather up as much heat as possible, and they radiate it back out. Now, rubber does that, but water does it better. You see what I'm saying? So you can use any container of water. You don't even have to paint it black. I didn't paint this bucket black. If I painted this bucket black, would the water be warmer in here? Most definitely. It would be warmer. But I'm not gonna go through the time of painting it right now. So that's what a heat sink is. I hope that makes sense. Basically, your water is going to radiate heat over time. Is it a cheap way to heat a greenhouse? Yeah, potentially. But the thing is, this is a very passive way to do it. So I understand that if you stay below freezing for so long, water does eventually freeze, because water is going to eventually want to become in equilibrium with its surroundings. What do I mean by that? If the air temperature is 20, that water is going to lose heat all the way until it gets to 20. And what is it going to be at 20? Frozen. But like I said, it's going to give off its heat and radiate it until it gets down to those freezing temps. Like I said, if you got it on the ground, it's going to help you. Like, for instance, when this freeze comes, maybe I can come out here and show y'all. I don't know, because it's going to be cold. I don't know if I'm going to be out here in that foolishness. But by the ground not being frozen, hopefully this water won't freeze. Or if it does freeze, maybe just the top will freeze, because the top is, you know, surrounded by very cold air. But I anticipate on really mounding up leaves and pine straw and stuff and insulating this stuff really, really good. I'm gonna make sure I insulate above the graft on these to make sure, because if your trees do freeze back, what you want to make sure is you don't freeze where they're grafted, because if they come out at those spots below the graft, that's the rootstock. If they come out above the graft, that's your actual tree. So that's what you want to try to preserve. You want to try to make sure you have stuff insulated above your grafts on your trees, so that you keep, you know, whatever the fruit stock was supposed to be above it. But yeah, I hope that explains heat sink. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them in the comment section. Thanks. What's up, y'all? I want to expand some on what I said about heat sinks. I know I talked about water, and that's because the person who asked me that question, that's the main, well, they just asked about heat sinks. Okay. So I know I explained about water, but I want to also explain this. You can use more than just water as a heat sink. So anything, any object has the potential to absorb and radiate heat. Any object, because all objects in nature, what they want to do is seek equilibrium. That's anything. It doesn't matter what it is. Like, for instance, your car, your engine. If you just drove it somewhere, you come back, your engine's hot. When you turn it off, what happens to your engine? It cools off. Why? Because your engine probably was 300 or 400 degrees. The air temp is not that. So even if the air temp is 100 degrees, your engine will come down to 100. You know what I mean? If it's cooler, it'll come. So everything tries to seek equilibrium. And not just your engine, your whole car, you know? Like if you park your car in the sun, you come back, your car's hot. You park it in the shade, it's gonna be cooler. It's because wherever that car is, whatever the ambient temperature is, it's gonna try to reach that. It doesn't matter if it's a tree, a pallet, a potted plant, a brick, anything, everything, your house. That's why you have to have air, because your house is trying to be the temperature that's outside. That's why you have to have air conditioning, because air conditioning, without it, your house would just generally be the temperature outside. Same thing with heat. It's cold outside, so your house is going to try to reach equilibrium. That's why you need heat, because the hot air is hotter than the air outside to make you comfortable. So everything tries to seek equilibrium. So anything can be used as a heat sink. Now, why am I bringing that up? So I moved these figs over here. I'm not worried about these figs freezing, per se. Now, if they do, if these tips, these little green tips, these are your little growing tips, and you can see right there, that's going to be a fig. That's a little bud, a fruit bud. If these tips get so cold, the tips will freeze off. And I've had instances where my tips freeze off, but it won't freeze your whole plant. Usually just further down, like down here somewhere, it will grow new branches. But if I take this and I turn it in such a fashion to where, see how this leaf is up against this is up against this, I'm going to turn this to where this is. So you don't have to necessarily turn it, but what I'm saying is it was over there out in the open. Now it's clustered amongst this stuff. So all of this area kind of becomes a heat sink. So like I said, it's 60 degrees today. All of this stuff is going to be roughly about 60 degrees. I'm going to cover all these things with leaves all the way to the top. I haven't done it yet. I've been putting leaves over there, so I battened down my citrus to protect my citrus. But I just wanted to expand that about the heat sinks. It doesn't have to be water. It can be anything. You know, if you want to, if you have a shed or some type of covering, that kind of can act as the heat sink. You know, anything that offers some type of protection or shelter, or like I said, all of these things have a pretty good mass on them because they all have soil in them. All of that stuff, it's the same concept, y'all. So I'm gonna take these figs as well. I'll do that on camera so y'all can see. I'm gonna take these figs. Well, this one's in the ground, so I'm not gonna be taking that one. That one's in the ground too, so I won't be moving that one. So is that one. Golly. Okay, this one isn't. So y'all watching it live and living color. Your figs will jump out of your pots on you. That's normal. And really it's okay, because I leave these out here like this anyway. That's a Celeste. But yeah, that's in the ground, that's in the ground, that's in the ground. So when it comes time to put those in the ground, I will have to dig gingerly down there to get some of those roots. If I break them, I break them. I won't kill them, but I'm just gonna leave them. I'm not gonna break those roots off and stress them now. But I will tell you this. Ow. See this? Blackberry. That stuff will hook you. Anyway, this over here, I'm probably gonna put a lot of leaves. I have this right here that holds water, so I'm gonna use it as a heat sink. I'm gonna pull it a little closer, and I'm gonna put that one and put water in it on the other side. Actually, it's gonna rain, so I probably don't even have to put water in it, but I'm gonna push that a little closer, and this will radiate a little bit of heat. I'm not really trying to save that stuff per se. I think the strawberries will be okay. But yeah, y'all, so I just wanted to expand that on heat sinks just a little bit better and help y'all understand that it doesn't have to be water per se. It could be any object, but water does it the best and the easiest, and you know, it's more or less free. People usually have access to water. I won't say always. So yeah, till next time, see you guys later.